Hello and welcome back to the Phoenix 5-0 Info Show. I'm your host, Lieutenant Vince Lewis of the Phoenix Police Public Affairs Bureau, coming to you once again from Phoenix Police Headquarters in beautiful downtown Phoenix. I want to welcome back to the show my co-host for this week, PIO Sergeant Brian Bauer. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And not only are you PIO Sergeant, but you're also the Sergeant over the Silent Witness Detail, correct?
Yeah, it's Silent Witness for all of Maricopa County, so we deal with not just Phoenix, but all surrounding agencies.
Perfect, and it's a wonderful program. Earn cash rewards for the tips that you send in that lead to arrests and closing cases in the Valley.
And that's a big one. It's based off of the arrest. It's not necessarily the indictment and after the court. It's the arrest, and that's what we're trying to let people know is just the information that can lead to the arrest. You'll be qualified for the reward.
Perfect. Well, let's talk about two outstanding cases right now, unsolved and still live. The first one we're going to talk about, the Silent Witness case, is Media Case 2024-4128. This is a homicide, but let me take a minute and let me allow you to introduce our special guests to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I invited the two different detectives that are responsible for following up, grabbing more information, and trying to find out who is responsible for both of these homicides. So we have Erik and Austin both here with us, and they'll be able to kind of go in a little bit more detail than what I have familiarity with. And hopefully, again, one of the listeners out there, somebody that has some information, might be able to recognize who these individuals are. And what I like to tell everybody is just the smallest piece of information can really lead these detectives into understanding the bigger picture, what happened, and track down the person responsible.
Okay, great. So once again, we're going to talk about case 2024-4128. This was a homicide back in this year, back in January.
Yeah,
January 4th. Hispanic female is the victim. She was 16 to 23 years of age, 5'4" to 5'6". All this information was given there because at the time, we didn't know who she was. Exactly. She was a victim of a homicide, found deceased on the side of the road near 51st Avenue and Broadway. Do you remember anything unique about this, or do you want to toss to the detective?
Well, what's really unique about it is when this was posted as a silent witness case, again, this is a victim that's unknown. We didn't have any information about who she was. And from what I understand, and Erik, correct me if I'm wrong, but a family member or a friend was able to identify just based off the picture that we put out through Silent Witness that they knew who this person was, which helped kind of progress your case. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going to bring in Detective Erik Cairus from the Homicide Unit to talk about this. You're the case agent on this homicide, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, Silent Witness, they put out the flyer. You got some tips that came in, not on who the suspect was, but being able to identify who the victim was, which is a good starting or jumping point on being able to find out where you need to start your investigation.
Oh, absolutely. Silent Witness played a pretty big integral part in identifying our victim in this case. So some of the troubles that we ran into initially through traditional methods like fingerprint identification and other means just didn't work with her due to her age and her not having any sort of criminal background or criminal record or anything like that. So using this photograph, Silent Witness was very helpful in generating leads, which ultimately led to a family friend contacting the family who contacted us, and we were ultimately able to make an identification on that case.
And that's kind of the start of a lot of the investigation, is not only identifying who the suspect is, but understanding who your victim is and finding out, based on who they are, who they're related to, who they're involved with, and that kind of can lead down a path of finding the person who's responsible, right?
Oh, absolutely. Knowing who your victim is certainly is a good jumping off point, and that way you can develop, possible motives and theories as to why it went down the way it did.
Take us back to the day when this jumped off. How did the Phoenix Police get involved, and then how, of course, did you get involved?
So back on January 4th, at about 7 in the morning, a worker at a construction site at 51st and Broadway was checking the grounds, getting ready for work when they noticed what they believed to be a subject sleeping under a blanket in one of their parking lots. They called the police to file a trespassing report. When officers got there, they ultimately found the victim deceased under a blanket. Based on some of the circumstances, they called the homicide unit to get involved. We came out and processed the scene, noticed there were some circumstances that were a bit suspicious to us as how she was found, how some of the clothing that she was wearing, and given the fact she was covered with a blanket, we thought it to be pretty suspicious. We tried to identify her that day. We were, like I said, it was difficult when we tried to bring out our fingerprint scanner. We tried to do ink prints on her, every traditional means that we normally would to identify a victim. We're just coming up unsuccessful. I started going through missing persons databases. Initially, didn't come up with anybody. That's when we were able to release this photo through Silent Witness, and we were glad it did because we were ultimately able to identify her.
So oftentimes you're having to take this biological information and compare it to something that's already known. Do we think, and I don't know if you can even answer this, but do we think the difficulty there was because maybe her age or maybe where she was from that we just didn't have anything to compare to?
I think the difficulty was more so her age. She ultimately ended up being a couple of years younger than what we had initially anticipated.
Wow, so young.
So I believe based on those factors and her having, her just being so young, not having any sort of criminal history, kind of made it harder for us to do.
So when you get a call like that, one of the first things that you're doing is you're checking the surrounding area for surveillance cameras. And I'm fairly familiar with that area. You have a neighborhood to the north side of 51st and Broadway there, but all the other corners are pretty much just desert right there by the river bottom. Not a lot of surveillance cameras there, right?
Right. There was no surveillance cameras that we were able to find on the scene. The closest one that we found was approximately a quarter-mile away.
Now, would that be a recommendation that you'd have for a lot of these businesses and people in general on how important it is to have surveillance cameras? Not that you anticipate or ever expect something like this to happen near you, but it's always a good thing to have for further investigation.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't recommend having cameras on properties enough. It maybe not in these circumstances, don't always happen, but property crimes are pretty normal. It's good to have those in case somebody breaks into your property or something along those lines.
So if anybody has any information about this case or any more information about the victim, just to shore that up, we are talking about Silent Witness Case 2024-4128 with the case agent, Detective Erik Cairus. Thank you for that information. Visit silentwitness.org and read more about this case.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as detectives progress with their cases and get more information that's updated, Silent Witness is right there to update the case as well. Again, the smallest piece of the puzzle can help answer who was responsible. Whether you saw a suspicious truck drive by in that area or whatever it might be, the smallest thing will be able to help these guys solve this case.
And that's a reward of up to $2,000 right now. So another case that we're going to cover right now, Media Case 2024-4197. This is also a reward of up to $2,000, depending on the value of that tip. But we are looking for more information on another homicide.
Yeah.
This was back in May, not that long ago, May 5th, about 6:30 p.m. in the area of McDowell and 47th Avenue. And then we have the case agent here as well.
So this one is pretty unique as well. We have great surveillance camera of this suspect riding the bike, and we'll be able to show it in the link. So you see the suspect actually riding the bike very casually to the victim, and then after the shooting, you see that same suspect riding the bike very fast away from the scene, trying to flee the area. So it's, like you said, 47th Avenue and Brill Street, which is a block south of McDowell. The bike is very recognizable. I know a lot of the business owners in the area, if you happen to see somebody that matches this description, the bike that matches the description, calling in the Silent Witness would be extremely helpful in getting this person who has shown his violent potential to get him off the streets before he harms somebody else.
So you go to silentwitness.org and look up Media Case 2024-4197 to see the information of the suspect, the video, the visuals that we have, the victim in this case, a 40-year-old Willie Ray White. And it's Detective Austin Cornwell.
Yes.
Give us some information again. Let us know how Phoenix Police got involved, and then tell us about your involvement in this case and what do you want our audience to know?
Yeah, the evening of May 5th, we got a call that a security guard just started a shift patrolling the commercial building around 47th Avenue in Brill. As he went to the rear of the commercial building, he located a deceased male who had a apparent gunshot wound to him. At the time, there was nobody around. So we got involved while we were out there. Not much traffic. It was a Sunday evening into the night. We had really nothing to go off of at the time. Erik and I were trying to get video from surrounding businesses while we got video of what you guys now see on the link. We know it's possibly a Hispanic or light-skinned black male wearing a black hat with a white logo, and a gray hoodie, and a white mountain bike. We know, watching the video, looks like the victim was living on Canal Bank behind Brill. So appears that our suspect went to go look for him and ultimately located him and had confrontation with him. We're just trying to find anything that could help us out with who our suspect may be. There's a lot of unhomed people in the area.
People experiencing homelessness?
Correct, yeah. But unfortunately, not too many people were in the area at the time. We're just hoping to find somebody that might recognize the bike or the individual in the photo to help us get a lead on who this person is.
Yeah, kind of a high-profile method of travel.
Yeah, especially in that area. Now, here's something to think about, though, for a lot of the viewers, is, and I don't want to speculate, but chances are these two individuals may have known each other, whether it's through passing or whatever it might have been. It sounds like it's kind of a targeted attack. How important is it for those business owners or anybody to say, hey, I'm not paying attention to the actual shooting itself, but maybe the day before or hours well before the shooting, they might have seen him at a certain area. And now we can start trying to find out what led up to the shooting itself and be able to identify him that way as well, right?
That'd be very important for us because the victim had no cell phones with him, so we're unable to see who he may be communicating with. So seeing that the suspect went towards the area, appeared that they knew one another at some point or had some kind of previous confrontation. So maybe just if they can find any video that might get us a better view or direction travel where the person may have gone.
So we're looking for help from neighbors, from businesses, local businesses, those who provide services and go out and reach out to those who are experiencing homelessness. Anybody that has contact with that group in that neighborhood that might, through 6 degrees of separation, know who either the suspect is or more information about the victim. Somebody's going to have information about this, and somebody could earn up to $2,000 to help solve this case.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's what's so fascinating about your jobs as homicide detectives is you have to think outside the box. You can't just say, hey, this is how it goes, step 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to think outside the box in order to find these people that are responsible for these violent crimes and hold them accountable.
Yeah, you guys have had some successes in your cases since you've gone to homicide?
Oh, absolutely.
How great does that feel?
Oh, it feels great, fantastic, especially knowing that you're able to bring closure to a family that, ultimately lost their loved one in a tragic and often violent manner.
And you guys work together often?
Yes, so on our squad, we work as partners. So Erik and I are teamed up together.
Cool, great. Well, hey, thank you for this information. Again, we've got Media Case 2024-4128 and Silent Witness Media Case 2024-4197, both homicides. We're looking for any information from anybody that can help us. Go to silentwitness.org to figure out, to help us, to figure out how you can help and potentially earn these cash rewards. There are these cases and other cases also on silentwitness.org. You can help fight crime in your community by sending those tips and potentially earning that cash reward. Again, I'm going to say it. Go to silentwitness.org or call 480-WITNESS. Follow Phoenix Police on all social media platforms. Look at all the great police work that's going on every day in your community and send us those likes and subscribes and smashes and bells and things.
All the good stuff.
Right? We're hiring. Go to joinphxpd.com. Help us and help serve your community and start a rewarding career with us. And hey, I'm going to end it the way that we always do. Just remember, we're all in this together.